All right, let's decode this. Number 10. Keeping that job you secretly hate. Here's how it starts. You're in your 30s, the job is fine. Not great, not awful, just fine. The pay shows up on time, the benefits are okay, and you've mastered the art of looking busy while scrolling Zillow. So you stay. And that's how a small decision turns into 30 years of quietly trading your life for a paycheck you stopped caring about. The real danger isn't the bad days, it's the numb ones. The ones where you convince yourself that stability is the same thing as happiness. Psychologist Martin Seligman called this learned helplessness. When you stop trying to change your circumstances because you've adapted to the discomfort, you tell yourself it's responsible. You stop dreaming about anything better because the thought of leaving feels exhausting. And the system is built to keep you there. HR loves a steady employee. Your family calls you lucky. LinkedIn applauds your loyalty. No one warns you that loyalty can be the slowest form of self-erasure. By the time you reach retirement, you might have the freedom you always wanted, but not the energy, the identity, or the curiosity to use it. Because those things aren't just waiting in storage, they're what you traded to survive. Number 9. Never learning how money actually works. You spent your 30s dodging financial literacy like it was a boring elective you could pass with vibes. You didn't budget. You didn't invest. You had no idea how 401(k)s worked and felt vaguely insulted that they expected you to. Now you're older. And realize money isn't just numbers. It's freedom, power, and protection from burnout. And no one ever taught you how to use it. According to a 2022 FINRA study, 66% of U.S. adults are financially illiterate. Not because we're stupid, but because the system never wanted us to be smart. Schools taught us to dissect frogs and memorize state capitals. Not how to avoid debt traps or navigate compound interest. So instead, we winged it, bought dumb stuff, avoided the scary spreadsheets, said things like, "I'll deal with this next year." Then next year became next decade, and the cruel twist, compound interest doesn't wait for your personal growth arc. It rewards the early birds and punishes the procrastinators. Future you is now panicking because present you was undereducated and overwhelmed. You weren't careless. You were under-resourced, overworked, and told that talking about money was tacky. Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's the way the world was built. Number 8. Saying yes to everything in your 30s. You thought being helpful made you a good person. You said yes to every birthday party, work favor, and exhausting group chat. You were afraid of disappointing people. Now, you're the dependable one and also the deeply resentful one. The trap. It's called cognitive load. Your brain can only handle so many open tabs. Every yes you say loads another task into working memory, slowly grinding your willpower into dust. Eventually, you're not choosing your life, you're reacting to everyone else's. You thought saying yes would bring connection, security, and opportunity. But often, it just brings burnout with a side of back pain. Our culture sells busyness as virtue. Productivity equals worth. Overcommitting equals ambition. But here's the truth, saying yes to everything is often a cover for not knowing how to say no without guilt. You don't realize the cost until your calendar owns you, until your evenings are gone, until your body starts whispering, then yelling that it's had enough. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're survival. Number 7. Treating your body like an immortal meat suit. Your 30s were powered by caffeine, anxiety, and 3 hours of sleep. You told yourself, "I'll catch up on rest later." Spoiler, there is no sleep bank. The interest charges come due in retirement. Chronic sleep deprivation isn't just being tired. It's been linked to Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, and metabolic disorders, according to the CDC. But the culture doesn't warn you, it rewards you. Hustle is heroic. Rest is lazy. You're supposed to grind now and relax later. But what if later shows up and your body's broken? We treat health like a subscription we can cancel and rejoin, but biology doesn't work like that. Every skipped stretch, every drive through dinner, every stress binge, they add up. Slowly, silently, and it's not just physical. Your brain is part of your body. Burnout is real. So is executive dysfunction. You think you're just tired, but you're depleted. The lie we're sold is that burnout is a badge of honor, that future wellness is earned through present suffering. But no, it's eroded by it. Number 6, believing homeownership equals success. You bought the house. You did the right thing. But now you're drowning in repairs, property taxes, and existential dread about your aging HVAC system. This was supposed to be stability. Why does it feel like a trap? Blame history. Post-WW2, the U.S. government launched massive propaganda campaigns promoting homeownership as the American dream. It wasn't just economic policy, it was a cultural script. Renting meant failure, buying meant you made it. But nobody mentioned that ownership doesn't equal peace. Suburbs can be isolating, mortgages can become shackles, and the wealth-building promise depends entirely on timing, location, and dumb luck. You thought a house would anchor your life. Instead, it might have locked you into a lifestyle you can't afford emotionally or financially. We equated real estate with real adulthood, but maybe that was never the point. Number 5, ignoring loneliness because you're busy. You had work, you had errands, you had plans, so no, you didn't have time to build deep friendships in your 30s. Now you're older, and the silence hits harder than you expected. Loneliness isn't just sad, it's deadly. A Harvard study on adult development spanning 80-plus years found that the quality of our relationships is the single greatest predictor of long-term happiness and health. Not money, not status. Connection. But modern life makes connection inconvenient. Friends move away. Everyone's busy. You replace bonding with back-and-forth memes. It feels fine until it really, really doesn't. You assumed community would just happen. But deep friendships aren't spontaneous, they're built. Slowly. Intentionally, over time. And if you never start, you can't make up for lost decades in retirement. You were never too busy. You were just in a system that didn't value closeness, only performance. Number 4, treating hobbies like a waste of time. Remember when you used to paint, or dance, or write really bad poetry on purpose, and then you stopped? Because somewhere along the way, if it didn't make money, it didn't make sense. That's late-stage capitalism talking. We live in a world where hobbies are either monetized or dismissed. Creative play becomes a side hustle, or it vanishes. But research shows hobbies improve mental health, build resilience, and even help you adapt to life transitions. Yet most of us kill our joy in the name of efficiency. We swap pleasure for productivity. Because doing something just for fun feels indulgent, even shameful. By retirement, you're not just bored, you're unpracticed at joy. You weren't lazy. You were conditioned to believe rest was unearned. Number 3, assuming future you will be healthier, richer, and wiser. You imagine that future you would finally wake up early, do yoga, invest smartly, and drink water like a responsible adult. But guess what? Future you is just present you with more gray hair and regret. This is temporal discounting, a psychological bias where we undervalue future rewards and overvalue immediate comfort. So we skip the gym, avoid budgeting, postpone hard conversations, and it feels rational in the moment. The problem, one day, later becomes now. And the gap between who you thought you'd be and who you are becomes a source of quiet shame. You weren't delusional. You were overwhelmed and human. Number 2, letting tech numb you out instead of dealing with reality. A few scrolls to relax, a few more to disconnect. Suddenly, it's midnight and you haven't moved in hours. You weren't lazy. You were trapped in a system designed to hijack your attention. Apps use variable reward systems, the same psychological hook, as slot machines. Sometimes you get a like, sometimes a DM. Sometimes nothing. That unpredictability keeps your brain addicted to the possibility of stimulation. And while your thumbs stay busy, your dreams quietly starve. We didn't choose this. We were out-engineered. Our need for rest, community, and meaning got replaced with notifications, dopamine loops, and doom scrolling. You thought tech was a tool. Turns out you were the product. Number 1, thinking there's always more time. You'll write the book later, travel later, call them later. Then one day, later, runs out. That's the trick of modern life. It's engineered to keep you busy enough to postpone what matters without feeling the urgency to start. There's always another email. Another meeting. Another, once things calm down. Palliative care nurse Bronnie Ware spent years listening to the dying reflect on their lives. The one regret, not living a life true to themselves. Most weren't stopped by tragedy, they were stopped by waiting. And in your 30s, time feels infinite. You're young enough to think you can start anything later, strong enough to think you'll always have the energy. But here's the math. Every year you delay isn't just one less year to do it, it's one less good year. The years when your body still says yes, your mind is still sharp, and your curiosity hasn't been dulled by routine. The system feeds the illusion. Retirement is sold as the start of real life, as if the decades before it are just a warm-up. But life isn't waiting at the finish line. It's right now, and it's leaving while you're busy preparing for it. Maybe you're not lazy. Maybe you've just been told there's more time than there really is. If this hit a little too close, maybe that's the point. Don't wait for later. Start small, start messy, just start. Because the life you want is built in the minutes you still have.